Welcome to my Learn English YouTube channel. Before we begin today's session, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more valuable content like this.
Okay, so get this for today's deep dive. You sent us an English learning video about bank accounts.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's called Quick Learning English with Podcast Conversation. It's intermediate level, episode 01, and it's from the YouTube channel Podcast Speak English.
Interesting.
So we're going to take a look at this and see what kind of financial wisdom we can unearth for you.
Well, it's fascinating how everyday situations can be used to kind of teach about something else completely different,
Yeah.
like in this case, banking.
Exactly. And so this video is using opening a bank account to teach vocabulary, but it actually brings up some pretty interesting points about checking and savings accounts.
Oh, okay.
Like it talks about unlimited daily transactions with a checking account.
Unlimited daily transactions.
Is that even real?
I mean, not really. That's more of a marketing tactic than a hard and fast rule.
Okay.
You know, a lot of checking accounts don't have a limit on the number of transactions, but you might run into some other caps, like daily spending limits on a debit card or ATM withdrawal limits.
Ah, so there are limits.
Yeah.
They're just not always obvious.
Right.
Okay, that's good to know. But it seems like the big takeaway is that checking accounts are for your everyday spending.
Right.
And most of you listening probably already have one.
Yeah, probably.
What are some things people should be thinking about when they are choosing a checking account?
Well, fees are a big one.
Okay.
Some accounts charge monthly maintenance fees, some charge per transaction.
Ah,
You also want to think about ATM access.
yeah.
Can you easily get cash? What about mobile banking features?
Yeah.
Some accounts even offer perks like cashback rewards.
Oh, wow.
It really just all depends on your needs as a consumer. What are you looking for in a checking account?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So the video contrasts checking accounts with savings accounts.
Uh-huh.
What's the key difference there?
Oh, it really comes down to purpose.
Okay.
So checking accounts are for spending.
Right.
But a savings account is where you put money that you want to grow. Yeah. So you should think about it as like an emergency fund or saving for a down payment on a house or dream vacation.
Oh, okay.
It's money that's meant to sit there and earn interest.
So the video mentions savings accounts usually having a higher interest rate,
Yeah.
which is a plus.
Uh-huh.
They use an example of a $10,000 minimum balance for a savings account,
Yeah.
which sounds a bit intimidating.
$10,000.
Yeah. Is that common?
Well, not necessarily. It
Okay.
depends on the specific account and the bank.
Okay.
So yes, some high-yield savings accounts may require you to have a larger minimum balance in order to get the best interest rate. But there are plenty of savings accounts out there that have much lower minimums or even no minimum at all.
Oh, okay.
The key is to do your research and find one that fits your financial goals.
So you might have to decide, do you want easy access to your money with a checking account or go for a potentially higher return with a savings account, even if it means your money's a little less accessible?
Yeah, that's a trade-off to consider, for sure. Now let's talk about some essential banking terms.
Okay.
The video does a really nice job of using simple examples to explain things like transaction balance and even the dreaded overdraft.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love how they illustrated overdraft with that example of spending $600 when you only have $500 in your account.
Right. You don't want to get hit with an overdraft fee.
That could be a painful surprise.
Or definitely, those fees can add up really quickly.
Yeah.
So it's really important to understand what causes them.
Okay.
So basically, anytime money moves in or out of your account that's considered a transaction,
Okay.
your balance is the total amount you have available at any given time.
Got it.
And then an overdraft occurs when you spend more than what's in your account,
Right.
which results in a negative balance. And unfortunately, those pesky fees.
Understanding these terms is like the first step to taking control of your finances, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of taking control, the video also talks about debit cards, and make sure to differentiate them from credit cards.
Yeah, it's an important difference.
Really important.
Yeah. A debit card is linked directly to your checking account.
Okay.
So when you use it, the money comes directly out of your account. Now with a credit card, you're actually borrowing money
Right. Right.
that you'll have to pay back, and usually with interest.
Yeah.
So they're very different tools with different pros and cons.
It's interesting how this English learning scenario is subtly teaching us about these different financial tools and how to use them responsibly.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it gets a little curious.
Okay.
The video also brings up checks,
Checks.
which they say are less common outside the U.S.
Interesting.
Like, they even mention how they've rarely seen checks being used in China.
Yeah. I can see that.
So why are Americans so attached to checks? It seems like electronic payments would be much more convenient.
Yeah, you would think, right?
Is it just resistance to new technology, or is there something more to it?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. While the trend is definitely moving towards digital payments, checks still serve a purpose.
Okay.
Some businesses, especially smaller ones, still issue paychecks in paper form.
Ah.
And certain bills like rent payments to some landlords or paying utilities might be easier to do with a check.
So it's not just about technology itself, it's about the systems and habits that are already in place.
Exactly.
It seems like there's a lot more to uncover about how banking customs differ around the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what else?
Well, one major difference is the level of access that people have to basic banking services.
Oh, okay.
In some countries, having a bank account is just the norm.
Yeah.
But in other places, a significant portion of the population is what we call unbanked.
Unbanked.
Yeah, meaning they don't have access to those traditional banking services.
Wow.
So there are a lot of factors that contribute to that.
Like what?
Access to technology infrastructure, how many bank branches exist in a certain area, and even cultural attitudes towards banks.
It's amazing how this simple English lesson is giving us this global perspective on banking.
Yeah.
It's like we've gone from learning basic vocabulary to peeking into how different cultures approach money and finances. What else did you find interesting in this video?
One thing that really stood out to me was how the video, without explicitly saying it, was actually teaching financial literacy.
Oh.
By explaining those key banking terms, they were laying the foundation for understanding personal finance.
That's a really great point.
Yeah.
It wasn't their main focus, but just by defining those terms and using simple examples, they were giving viewers the tools to start thinking about managing their money more effectively.
Right, exactly.
Just so important.
Yes,
Sure.
understanding basic financial concepts is crucial for everyone, no matter where they live or what their financial situation is.
Right.
It empowers people to make informed decisions about their money and their future.
I think we've covered a lot of ground already, from the basics of checking and savings accounts to global differences in banking systems and the importance of financial literacy.
Yeah, for sure.
And we've still got more to unpack from this video.
We do.
What else have we got?
Well, they also highlight the role that politeness plays in banking communication.
Oh, okay.
They even give some specific examples of phrases that are commonly used to make the interactions more courteous and professional.
Like what?
Things like, "I'll get you to fill out this paperwork," instead of just saying, "fill out this paperwork."
Oh.
It might seem like a small difference, but it can really change the tone of the interaction.
It's fascinating how these subtle differences in language can really shape our perceptions and make interactions feel more respectful.
It really is.
It makes you think about how we use language in other professional settings, too.
Yeah.
Maybe we could all benefit from being a little more mindful of our tone and word choices, especially when we're dealing with sensitive topics like finances.
Absolutely. I agree. Being aware of those nuances in language can help us build stronger relationships and avoid misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Not just in banking, but in all areas of life.
I never thought an English learning video could spark such a thought-provoking conversation about banking culture and communication.
Me neither.
But there's still more to uncover.
There is.
We'll be back for part 2 of this deep dive, where we explore even more insights from this surprisingly rich video.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive. We're uncovering some pretty interesting financial insights from, of all things, an English learning video.
I know, it's wild, right?
Yeah.
We're learning about banking and so much more. So last time we left off talking about how the video highlighted checks.
Oh, right. Those slips of paper.
Yeah, which seem like such a relic of the past, especially outside the U.S.
Yeah, seems like a lot of places are moving beyond that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It definitely sparked that conversation about how payment methods really vary across different cultures.
Yeah, they did.
The hosts, Marco and Erica, even mentioned that they rarely see checks being used in China.
Yeah, which makes you wonder, like, why are Americans so attached to these things?
That's my question. Why are we so attached to these checks?
Yeah.
It seems like electronic payments would be so much more convenient.
Right.
Is it just like a resistance to new technology, or is there something more to it?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
While the trend is definitely moving towards digital checks, still have their uses. Like
Yeah.
some businesses, especially smaller ones, still issue paychecks in paper form.
Oh.
And certain bills like rent payments to some landlords or maybe paying utilities might just be easier to do with a check.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about those existing systems and habits.
Right. Exactly.
It seems like there's so much more to uncover about how banking customs differ around the world.
Absolutely, there is.
Like what else?
The level of access that people have to banking services varies greatly.
Okay.
In some countries, having a bank account is just the norm,
Right.
but in others, a significant portion of the population doesn't even have access to traditional banking.
Wow.
We call those people unbanked.
Unbanked.
Yeah. And a lot of factors can contribute to that.
Like what kind of things?
Well, access to technology, the availability of mobile banking infrastructure, how many bank branches actually exist in a given area, and even cultural attitudes towards banks can all play a part.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about financial inclusion, right?
Exactly.
Whether or not everyone has the opportunity to participate in the financial system.
Right. And all these factors that I just mentioned play into that.
This deep dive is making me realize how complex this global financial landscape really is.
Oh, it's incredibly complex, and it's constantly changing.
And constantly changing.
Yeah, just think about the emergence of fintech companies.
Fintech companies.
Yeah, these tech-focused businesses are disrupting traditional banking in so many ways.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the whole rise of cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
which is completely changing how we think about money and value itself.
It's mind-boggling how much there is to learn about the world of finance.
I know it is.
And we started with a simple English lesson.
It is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And speaking of learning, the video also subtly highlighted the importance of financial literacy just by explaining those basic banking terms.
Yeah, it's really interesting how they did that without even explicitly saying that they were teaching financial literacy.
It was a good approach. So by breaking down those terms, they were essentially giving viewers the building blocks to understand their personal finances.
Exactly.
Which is so important.
It is so crucial when you understand those basic concepts, like what a transaction is or how your account balance works. You're in a much better position to manage your money effectively.
Right.
It's empowering.
So even though this video was aimed at English learners, it really touched on this much bigger topic.
Yeah.
The importance of financial education for everybody.
Yeah, they snuck in a mini lesson on personal finance.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
The video also pointed out how language plays such a crucial role in shaping our interactions, especially in formal settings like banks.
Right.
And they highlighted those polite phrases that are so commonly used.
Right. To soften requests and just create a more respectful tone.
It's a good reminder that words have power.
Yeah.
In an environment like banking where trust and professionalism are so important, using courteous language can really make a big difference.
They contrasted, for example, the phrase, "I'll get you to fill out this paperwork,"
Right.
with just saying directly, like, fill out this paperwork.
Much more direct.
Right. It's a subtle difference, but it can really change how that request is perceived.
Yeah, the first one definitely feels more respectful and less demanding.
Right.
It acknowledges the customer's time and creates a much more positive interaction.
It makes you think about how we use language in other professional settings as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like being mindful of our tone and our word choices.
Uh-huh.
It can help build stronger relationships and just create a more positive environment overall.
Absolutely. Whether you're communicating with colleagues, clients, or even friends and family, just being aware of the impact of your words can make a real difference.
We've covered so much in this deep dive already. I know we have.
From the nitty-gritty of banking terms to global variations in financial systems, the importance of financial literacy, and even the power of polite language.
And we started with just a simple English learning video.
I'm amazed by how much we've learned.
It's been a fascinating journey, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. We still have one more part to go,
We do.
where we'll wrap up our exploration and leave you with some final food for thought. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into, an English learning video about bank accounts.
Who knew, right?
I know.
That we'd end up uncovering all this stuff.
It's amazing how a seemingly simple topic can lead to such a fascinating exploration of the world of banking and beyond.
It really is a testament to the fact that learning can happen anywhere.
Yeah. And we've covered so much already, from basic banking terms to, types of accounts, cultural differences in payment methods,
Right.
the importance of financial literacy,
Yeah.
even like the nuances of language in professional settings.
It's amazing.
It's like we peeled back the layers of this, seemingly simple topic and discovered a whole universe underneath.
That's a great way to put it.
So what other insights caught your eye in this video?
Well, one thing that really struck me was how the video subtly highlighted the connection between language and empowerment.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, remember how they emphasized those polite phrases used in banking interactions?
Uh-huh.
It wasn't just about being courteous. It was also about leveling the playing field.
So you're saying that by using more formal and indirect language, customers can feel more confident and in control when they're interacting with bank staff, even if they're not financial experts themselves.
Exactly. It takes away that feeling of being intimidated or overwhelmed by all that financial jargon.
Yeah.
And it creates a space for more respectful dialogue where anyone can ask questions and feel comfortable discussing their financial needs.
It's like they're subtly teaching viewers how to advocate for themselves in a financial setting.
That's right.
That's a really powerful message, especially for people who might feel less confident navigating the world of banking.
Yeah, for sure. And it connects back to that idea of financial literacy, too.
Right.
When you understand the language of finance and you feel comfortable communicating your needs, you're in a much better position to manage your money effectively.
It all comes full circle.
It does.
So even though this video was designed for English language learners, it's packed with lessons that go way beyond grammar and vocabulary.
It is.
It's about communication empowerment and really taking control of your financial well-being.
I like that.
It's a great message.
It is a great message.
This deep dive has been such an eye-opening experience.
It has.
We've gone from learning basic English to exploring global financial trends, the importance of financial literacy, and even the subtle power of language.
And we did it all thanks to your curiosity,
Well, thank you.
which sparked this fascinating journey. It just goes to show that learning is a continuous process, and there's always something new to discover, even in the most unexpected places.
Well said. Before we wrap up, is there anything else from the video that you wanted to touch upon?
Yeah, one final thought that I had was this implicit message about the future of banking.
Oh, okay.
The video, while focusing on traditional banking practices, sort of hinted at this evolving landscape of finance with its mention of debit cards and, the shift away from checks in certain parts of the world.
That's a great observation. It really makes you wonder, what does the future hold for banking?
Right.
Will we see, a completely cashless society?
Yeah.
Will cryptocurrency become the norm?
Hmm.
Or will traditional banks find ways to adapt and innovate?
Those are great questions.
I don't know if we have the answers.
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah,
But I think it's safe to say that the world of finance will continue to evolve,
for sure.
driven by technology changing consumer needs and these global trends that we've been talking about.
It's an exciting time to be following the world of finance. Who knows what innovations and disruptions lie ahead?
And maybe, just maybe, a future English lesson will hold the clues to those changes.
Ooh, I like that.
Right?
We'll have to keep our eyes peeled.
Definitely.
Well, until then, we encourage all of you to stay curious, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a good deep dive, no matter where it takes you.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this fascinating exploration.